not just suppressing, just like how you said, just putting stuff under the rug. It's like we can't just put stuff under the rug. It's like it says in the word, like faith without works is dead. So it's like, yes, I have faith that the Lord is going to do it, but I got to put in some type of work to also showcase I have faith, right? Like works is a showcase of my faith. You stuck here, you know what I mean? And like society has just made it cool for people to just like be stuck in a negative or like not work on themselves.
For you growing up, as you are Nigerian, what was that dynamic of mental health like?
Mental health? Jeez. Man.
In the last episode, we talked about the grief of your brother, and we talked about grief in general. A year and a half later, what does grief mean to you?
It's a very good question.
I'm here with Eniola Dersimi.
What's up, what's up?
We had to run it back.
Yes, sir.
It's been a year and a half since we've had our last discussion, and you've been doing some incredible things. I've tried to level up in my respects, and I just want to say thank you for coming on, because I really enjoyed our episode. I think that the conversation that you and I had was very sincere, was very genuine, and I think people felt that. And the reception that we got in terms of like how many people enjoyed it.
It was amazing, man.
Yeah. So I just want to say thank you for coming on.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate it very, very much. It gave me a platform to be able to actually really speak on my story and a couple of things, you know, I've been holding it for some time. So I also appreciate you giving me, you know, the platform twice, actually, you know, bring me back again.
Yeah.
If you come back twice, that means you're doing something good.
Yeah. So as our episode was a year and a half ago, there's been some reflection in your life, been some growth in your life. How has the last year and a half been for you?
Very good question. So life has been amazing. It's been rigorous at the same time. That's just normally how it is when you're serving the Lord. Like, definitely just going through a lot of things, you know, transition periods with certain things, moving back home, you know. What else was I doing? I do a lot of stuff, I ain't gonna lie. Me trying to make sure to get back in shape, trying to really take my mental health seriously, trying to take, well, I always have been, but now really being more intentional with it, being more intentional with healing from my past, from certain situations, certain things of which I haven't forgiven certain people for, like whether it be family, like an argument I didn't forgive from like way back, you know, I may be holding on to, or friends, or even situations with people I don't really mess with anymore. Like I was just trying to really be very, very intentional and telling myself that like, in order for me to better myself, I need to be able to heal from a lot of these things, you know? And I've always said that. I always say that it's always cool to give the advice until you have to take it. And that's what I had to learn for myself. So, you know, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, nah, let's really take the advice now. You're 25. Let's really start taking this thing seriously, you know? So, and that's kind of how the last year and a half has been.
Yeah. Healing is just such a weird thing, right? Because it's sometimes... I mean, I talk about it a lot, but I think that sometimes healing, when you get to a certain point, right, there's a certain threshold that you know what the things that you have to heal from are. Yeah. And there's some resistance in that because you know it. Not many other people know it, but the same situation, the same patterns continue to reoccur. And it's the same lesson, different situation. And I just find that that's one of the things that as humans, we have to find this threshold of, in a way, getting tired of the things that we're doing each day that we know are not good for us.
Yeah.
and essentially just being so tired of it that we're just like, forget it. I need to change. I need to make a change. And sometimes it gets to that point where even though we know it's there, we just throw it under the rug and just continue to throw it under the rug until that one day comes and you just break. And it's just such a weird thing that we can't run from ourselves. We can never run from ourselves. We can't run from the past, the previous experiences.
Yeah, man.
And as much as we want to, it'll just resurface in a different situation, different circumstance, different person, different event, whatever it is. And I just find that so interesting. I'm not sure if you can attest to that as well, and having the same.
Yeah, I could definitely attest to that because I was the type of person growing up where I wasn't really the most confrontational. So many times, like when people would get me upset or like would trespass or like break a boundary or something like that, more times than not, I wouldn't address it immediately. But I learned the danger in that because um when I'm not addressing it from early, then I'm holding on to it. And I'm saying like, no, it's fine. I feel like I'm fine. I've forgiven it, but it's still lingering in your mind some way, somehow. So like many times when people say, oh, you're going from 0 from 100, it's like, nah, like more times than not, it was been built up over time and you never address that build up. So that crash out is normally, how could I say, that crash out is normally really people that's on like 90, 95, 99. And then all of a sudden it just takes that one little thing. More times than not, when we see it, it's normally like a little situation. I'll have someone just completely just lose it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, with myself, I just saw that with a lot of like, again, with like, it could be like family matters, it could be friend matters. And again, we already know how we can get sometimes, you know, sometimes you have disagreements with family, but you don't fully address it and you just kind of move past it. And yeah, with myself now, like I've gotten to the point, man, I'm 26 years old. I've seen enough stress in my life. I know some of it is going to be involuntary, of course, but I'm like, if you have control to not be stressed out by it, try not to. So that's kind of how I've been trying to move in that regard and try to make sure like addressing those things that's under the rug. It ain't easy, but we have to do it because
I guess because I was having a conversation the other day, and the person I was speaking to elaborated to me that they aren't very confrontational. They aren't very comfortable in bringing up uncomfortable conversations or things that need to be said. And I find myself being in that same spectrum where I don't want to say walking on eggshells, but essentially you don't want to bring up what's really going on.
Yeah.
And I guess I would like to know from your experience, from elaborating that to me, is that how have you been able to navigate those uncomfortable conversations?
now, well, now I've gotten to the point now where I understand that when you bring matters to the person that you have the confrontation with, it actually makes it so much easier. Especially whether it be family, friend, you know, no matter, like, it's a quote I heard, uncomfortable conversations keep relationships healthy. So when you have that uncomfortable conversation, like you're addressing a topic you're addressing the elephant that's in the room. You know what I mean? And many times people like dodging it because they don't want to be the one to talk about it. But with myself, like there's been certain situations where I'm like, you know, sometimes your mind can play tricks on you. So you're saying like, oh, it can go this way, they could respond this way, they could do this, they could do that. But you end up having a conversation, it's like, yo, you actually feel way better. You know what I mean? And even for myself, like very shortly after the last episode, I ended up speaking to two people who, like, I had freed myself from having those friendships, but I still knew I still needed to speak to them to some type of degree. One of them was just on the phone. One of them was actually in person, right? But yeah, just understanding like, yo, like there's something that needs to be addressed. You can't keep prolonging this. You know what I mean? Like by that point, it's like New Year's. I was telling myself, it's like, bro, it's been 3.5 years. Like you can't keep, as much as you don't see the person, when you see the person, it's like, it's cool. Nah, just go, speak, keep it cordial. You know? So it's not easy again because your mind can play tricks on you. But I just told myself, I said, uncomfortability is where you grow. You know, and like if I keep being afraid to grow, then it's gonna be stagnant. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to be the type of person that's always holding grudges or not speaking and dressing like, yo, this bothers me. Because like I said, it could be something small and it keeps building up to the point where it could cause resentment. And I saw that happen with some situations. So I said, nah, I actually don't want to go about it that way. Let me try something different. And I did, and it really works. Now, granted, I don't use that for everyone. Why? Because there's some situations I understand, like, yo, if this person is a crash out, I'm not even gonna waste my time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not even gonna, if I don't feel the need to even reconcile or have a relationship with that person, and like I know they're probably gonna react negatively, or I don't know how they're gonna react, I could leave it alone. I'm not really tripping too much. But if it's like a family member, a friend, or even like a situation of like someone I used to date or something like that, just to free both of us from that tension, I feel like it would be necessary. So that's how that's kind of like my approach on it now.
So I guess to understand, was it always Why were you not able to have the uncomfortable conversations? Was there something? Was it just never addressed in your family?
Mm.
Because I know for me, it was just sometimes that's what it was. Like the elephant in the room was there
Yeah.
within family, so we didn't want to step on eggshells or relationships, whatever
Mm.
the case may be. For you, why were you unable to have uncomfortable conversations?
I believe with me, with how I grew up, uh, I was the youngest of 4 kids. And like, as I said prior, like on the last interview, I'm Nigerian, Yoruba specifically. So like our culture is really like built on respect, especially for people older than you. So like, as much as I was born in America, obviously my parents are still like, were born in Nigeria. So they're going to carry their mindset, how they move, ethics here. And with myself, like with a lot of me growing up, like a lot of it was like, I ain't gonna lie, most times than not, when I'm speaking, I don't get my full thought across. I don't get my full sentence across without getting cut off. So when it's always happening, it's like, all right, cool. Like it's happening with both my sisters, my brother, my parents. That's 5 people. You know what I'm saying? So not to mention also like when I was growing up, I was a little bit insecure. I didn't really have like too much of a knowledge of my identity. So like when people would like kind of like tread against me, I would kind of just say like, dang, like I wasn't confident in myself to say like, yo, you can speak up for yourself, So sometimes I just wouldn't do it. So, but like I said, with time, because I truly believe like I was a late bloomer in the sense of like being able to be social, be a people person, being able to how could I say, to relate to other people, but also just be able to put my foot down, because there was just a points. It gets to a point you're like, all right, bro, I'm tired of dealing with this. You know what I mean? So I just got to the point. I just said like, nah, like I gotta address stuff, whether it be friends, like I said, whether it be family, and yeah, it take growth. It take a lot of growth, but yeah, man, I'm thankful. I'm at that point now.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a work in progress. Like I said, I pick and choose when I'm gonna like address an uncomfortable conversation, if it's necessary to do it. If it's not necessary, I'm gonna just leave it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's kind of how it was for me growing up.
Mm-hmm. All right. So this question is because I feel that in terms of like listening to or cut off or um not being able to share the full thoughts, and essentially to some degree, like there's a lot of reasons why I made the podcast, but more specifically that was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Is because I know what it's like to feel like to not be heard or be listened to.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to be able to create a platform where other people can come on and they can be themselves, and they don't for an hour and a half, even if it's just they've never gotten to be themselves before. I want them to come on and feel my energy and feel how, the conversation and greeting and all that, and being able to open up a side of themselves that maybe they want to explore more of or kind of exploit more. So I definitely understand in that aspect. And I guess in the beginning you said that there was a lot of things that you needed to address in that first episode. And I guess I kind of want to bring it up to you in terms of, do you still not feel listened to, or do you still not feel heard in certain areas of your life? And if so, how have you been able to kind of navigate through that windy or that crooked road in a way?
That's a good question. So yeah, there's times, I won't lie to you, there definitely are times, where I still sometimes don't really feel heard or like fully heard with the thought I'm trying to get across, and how I try to go about it now sometimes isn't the best. Sometimes I crash out. I don't recommend that. I don't recommend crashing out, guys. But in all honesty though, I try to really just look back and just say like, it's worth it sometimes. But even in some other times too, to be honest with you, like I tell myself, some people just haven't grown up how I grew up. You know what I mean? Like, for example, like I can't tell someone to, I could tell a situation to someone sometimes, right? But if you haven't really grown up in like an environment that I grew up in, you're not really gonna understand it. And I'm not even saying like the hood or anything. I'm talking about that. I'm like actual household. You know what I mean? It's like having to have And I'm not saying like it was all negative. Of course not. Like I love my family. You already know that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying in the sense of like obviously not having your voice heard sometimes, and that just carries over for years. You know what I mean? And then sometimes it's masked behind culture.
Mm.
And it gets so masked behind culture, sometimes you get frustrated. You just say, you know, there's no point in me even speaking because I'm not gonna be heard, you know. And I think that's something with like a lot of people's parents, where our parents obviously did not grow up how we grew up. They didn't. Some of them didn't grow up in the same country as we grew up.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a certain way how they were raised. So sometimes when we act how we act, I try to give grace because I also understand is like you didn't have this from your parents. You didn't even probably have this from your friends. But like I need you to learn how to grow out of these things because life is always about development. We can't just say like, yo, once I hit a certain age, like I'm just stuck in my ways. Like we can't do that. Like obviously there's certain characteristics, certain things of which you're gonna carry on for the rest of your life. I feel like that's for all of us. But you know, I feel like it's always important for us to develop, you know, learn about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence take me so far. It's understanding like how my emotions can carry over to other people, how it can, you know, certain things like that. And yeah, man, just like how I've been trying to go about it now, honestly, is just going where I'm heard and appreciated. Really. And that's just one thing I've come to learn. Like even like with me, like getting closer with the Lord and all of this, and like being more open about that. A lot of people aren't really too receptive to that. You know, some people from my past, you know. So I just like, okay, cool. Like I'm not knocking you. I understand you ain't been there. You ain't been through what I would have been through. You don't understand or have that relationship with the Lord like I do. Cool. I'm gonna go to people that do. You know what I mean? And because it's never too much for people who have been through what I've been through, in the sense of like you know what I'm saying, taking that route or taking the faith seriously, like how I take the faith seriously. Like people don't say like, oh, you're doing too much. Like, nah, they on something like, oh, I finally met someone who's just like me, you know, or something like that. So yeah, man, just having like, I'm blessed to have some very, very good people around me, you know, that I actually can speak to. Like one of my guys, Greg, like I've known him since high school, right? He's really my guy because he saw my development. And I believe that's one of the things as well. Like I've noticed a lot of people sometimes have met me like halfway through the progress to become who I've been, right? Which is like college. A lot of people never really saw me in high school. High school, middle school, high school is when the, like, you know, when you really met the real base of Eniola that really had to grow. And he always reminds me like, bro, I know what you've been through before. I've seen what you've been through before. I understand. And like having that out of a friend, bro, is amazing. Like even just like me, there's, you know, when you're upset and there's some friends like they joking, you know, you can't stay upset, you know. So like I'm appreciative of him. I'm appreciative of a good amount of my other friends too. You know, my guys obviously from the circle, the guys I can really speak to. You know, I've been able to discern like who to even tell my problems to, because some people is like they always gonna say like it's always something. It's like nah, bro, it's not always something. I don't have no, for years I had no space to talk about this. I'm talking about it to you. It could be redundant, but it's like there's something that's really bothering me. So yeah, man, I mean, just being where you appreciate it, you know, and just discerning who to speak to, I believe is like how I've been able to do better. And prayer, I ain't gonna lie. Like the Lord can handle it all.
Yeah. That's man, every word that you said about your friends from before, I resonated with. And if they're listening or if they hear this, I think that's one of God's greatest blessings is giving you people early on in your development that you might not know if they're going to be there with you for your whole life. But I think that we're given certain friends and we're given certain people in our life, and to be able to be friends with somebody that saw you in that part of your life and now sees you now is such, I don't think there's anything better than that, because they know who you were, they know who you've been, and they know who you now are. And it's when you're in a room or things are going a certain way, you know exactly who you can call.
Yeah.
And they know every facet of your life, of your development. And if you need to call them, you can call them, regardless of if that's a space that you get into in terms of how deep the conversations go. But sometimes things are better left unsaid.
Yeah.
But I think that's just such a beautiful thing, is having friends that you've been close with since high school, since the development, since the beginning, and them constantly believing in your vision and who you are, and where you're going to go. And there's just something about it, because once you get on, and once you're successful, or once you do the things that you want to do, now you want to be able to help them. It's like when Derrick Rose got his shoe deal, he put all of his friends, he put them on to the Adidas deal. You gotta sign, you're signing me, you gotta sign them too.
Every single one of them.
And there's just some beauty to that, because as we get older, as something that I've been noticing is that my circle has been shrinking a lot, and there's only a select few of people that I on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, if it's been a while between you and I, we'll check up on each other and stuff like that. How you been? But in terms of like that inner circle, there's the utmost gratitude, because as you get older, you start to separate, you start to go a certain way. You start to develop a romantic relationship with another person, or life starts to happen, start to create a family, work, all that stuff. And to be able to have that core of friends that you've still been close with since the beginning is, man, like I said, it's God's greatest gift.
Yeah, man, it's amazing. And even as we were talking about, I even just remember some of my friends like Brian's, Wakendi. These are guys that have known me since second grade, since elementary school. Like I'm actually blessed to say I have friends from elementary school, from middle school, from high school. So they really saw me develop. And like there's some times where it's like, and there's no knock to like people I've met in like college and things of that nature, but just like I've just learned like some people just know you better because they've seen you from a different point. And that could be a negative thing, that could be a positive thing, right? But like again, like when you haven't seen someone's full development from where they came from and like what they've done to get to where they're going to, you're not gonna really appreciate it as much because you weren't aware of it. So like when I see like even one of my friends, Wakendi, like he takes the Lord seriously too. I was on some like, bro, we've been locked in. Our brothers knew each other. You know what I'm saying? Before my brother passed, like he knew Kennedy's brother. So even before were friends, our brothers were friends. So it's just so beautiful. Like I said too, like, man, just being connected with people that have known you for a very, very long time and actually genuinely have that bond with you,
It's a shout out to Brian's. I'm not sure if he's gonna watch this, but shout out to Brian's.
You know Brian's. Yeah, word, bro. That's my guy, bro.
Brian's. I'm gonna definitely text him after this and let him know that we talked about him on the episode. He's definitely gonna probably tune in.
Yeah.
Something that that I've been thinking about recently, and maybe you're kind of able to understand, or maybe you have a point of view on this, is that as we talked about people that know you, that known you, and I find it weird that the more people you meet throughout your life, they only see you in that moment. If that makes sense. They see that version. They see that version.
Yeah.
They have not seen the previous versions. They have not seen and that's sometimes why I feel like when people want to know your past, it can get dicey, because I think when you tell somebody your past, that alters their perception of who you are.
Yeah.
And that alters their perspective of you, because you tell them all the things that already happened in your life, or the decisions that you made or didn't make. And they see you now, and it's kind of poisoned in a way. Like I see E, or I see this person, but now knowing this information, now my perception is kind of altered in a way. Because now you've told me who you are, but now there's this tainted version of this person that you were, or this shadow of yourself that you now have caught up to and grown from. And we're constantly re-explaining ourselves. We're constantly telling ourselves and who we are. And then it becomes a point, I don't know, this is like a deep philosophical thought, but like it comes to a point, do we ever really know who we are? Because we've seen ourselves at so many different versions, and we know that we're going to continue to change and continue to hopefully become better. But then it comes to a point where we know ourselves in this chapter, but then in this chapter it's a different person, and then that previous chapter was a different person. And we're constantly re-explaining ourselves. Hi, I'm Avi.
Yeah.
I'm going to introduce myself, but this is the version that you've only known. This is the version you see now, but you didn't see that previous version before.
Yeah. So yeah, so even talking on that more, like it was even so funny. Like a couple of my friends, we got a group chat called Core 7. Shout out everyone in Core 7. They're gonna watch this episode. I'm gonna force them to watch this episode. Forcing everyone, not forcing, but obviously people gonna tune in. This is a beautiful thing. But yeah, man, we having a conversation, and one of the girls, Tati, she went to Buff State. I went to UB at the time, and she reminded me that we actually met each other through party promoting. So like she was in an entertainment group, people that throw college parties. Yeah, so like for like a good 2 years, I was in an entertainment group that was throwing parties, right? So I forgot about that. So in my mind, I was like, yo, you remember that? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you try to put certain things to the past. Being a party promoter, getting that off of your resume is difficult, bro. You wanna know why? Because there's a bunch of people hitting you up, yo, bro, can you host this party for me? I don't want to host your party, bro. Yo, bro, can you throw up this flyer on your page? I'm not doing that, bro. Yo, bro, pop out to this party. It's high, bro. Like, I'm not really doing that no more. And just like how you were saying, like how some people, they meet a certain version of you, right? And it's stuck. Like, that version of you is stuck in their mind. You know me, and like that's why like sometimes my transition of me not doing some things like really shock people, because they're like, yo, you was heavy on this. Because when I do something, I do something. You know what I mean? Like that's really what I'm about. So when they seen my transition, they was like, yo, what made you transition? Obviously, the last episode explained a good amount of that the last time I was on here. But yeah, like even like trying to figure out who you are, I've come to learn, like, us as humans, I'm really deep rooted in my faith now. So even more deep rooted. It's been like a year plus, so I'm really even more deep rooted. But like for us as like myself, right? I say us when I'm referring to Christians, right? Us as Christians, right? Our identity is in the Lord. So what does that mean? Like the Lord has already given us the promises of who we are. So he said, like, we are more than conquerors. You are wonderfully and fearfully made. Like in one of the Psalms, David was asking God, he said, who is man that you are so mindful of him? So I was like, bro, I'm a little speck in the universe. Like, what makes you so interested in the details of my life? Right? In Jeremiah, I believe it said that before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. So God is personal with each and every single person. Right? And it's so beautiful. So it's like, sometimes we like, yo, am I good enough for this? I might be able to do this, might be able to do that. And that's something I struggled with for a good amount of my life. But like when I go to God's word, I'm just like, yo, wow, God said this about me? So like, it doesn't matter what I think sometimes, because my mind can play tricks on me. Sometimes I got to the point where I have to stand more on what I believe to be true, which is God's word, more than my feelings sometimes. Sometimes you're not going to feel adequate. Sometimes you're going to feel like, yo, like, I haven't performed in the best way of how I have in a long time. But so we as humans, we pick out ourselves, and like we have them thoughts in your mind like, yo, you're not good enough. But like I surround myself, and like when people say they have affirmations, those are words cool, but like the word of God, bro, I feel like it really just resonates. It strengthens my spirit. So it's like, them times where I don't feel like keep going, I'm gonna keep going. That's just the beauty of it. So that's really how I've been able to find my identity. And my identity is in the Lord now. So like, I can't be shaken,
And even just in that example, that little speck, you realize how insignificant you are. You realize that you're this one person on this one floating rock with billions of people in this world, in a solar system that God, the universe created, whatever you believe in, created. And then you realize how insignificant those problems really are. Amen. It's the insignificance of not your existence, but it's the insignificance of, I forgot something at my house and I'm pissed off about it. Or I didn't do something, or somebody's opinion of me. So why does that matter? We're living on a rock. We're literally living on a rock. Think about that. Yeah. The odds of somebody being born is 100,000 to something. Yeah. It's a very small percentage. And you realize that the insignificance of your problems of certain aspects of your life. Why am I stressing about this? Why am I anxious about this one thing? Why am I worrying about that thing? Because it's not going to matter in a year from now, or it shouldn't matter in a year from now.
Yeah. You want to know what it is? I believe, and that's even been one of my biggest problems as of late, is like the little problems I deal with. Like when T-Mobile cut off your phone. If any executives from T-Mobile see this, stop. Nah, let me stop. But no, seriously though, that $20 for every single time they cut off your phone is crazy. But the insignificant things sometimes, man, I think as we become adults, a lot of people aren't prepared for the adversities of life. Like, we live in a world where everyone just attributes stuff to mental illness. Now, granted, I'm big on knowing that mental illness, like depression, anxiety, all this other stuff, like, it does exist. It has happened to me before. And I'm very, like, careful with how I address those things because people deal with them, But one of my biggest things is, like, when I go on the internet sometimes, bro, especially Twitter, bro, I hate Twitter now. I'm not calling it X. Twitter, right? People just say, like, oh, like, I can't do this. Oh my goodness, I need all of this because I have OCD. It's like, bro, you don't have OCD. You just like cleaning stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you just like things being in order, and that's okay. You don't have OCD. Like, why are you attributing an illness to yourself? Not even like a disorder to yourself. A lot of people be saying, like, yo, bro, I can't focus. I must have ADHD. Who told you that? Why are you self-diagnosing yourself? You know what I mean? So, like, when we have people that do that and, like, succumb to that, a lot of the time, or even, like, for example, when it's, like, fall time, like, because the sun isn't shining as much, we lose vitamin D, right? So there's supplements for that actually help, which will boost your mood, right? So I didn't take them, I baited, because I actually wanted to take the test to see if it actually would work. But when you get that from the sun, like little things like that, obviously your mood is going to be a little bit lessened. That doesn't mean you have depression. That just means you're lacking in a vitamin or supplement that's actually needed for the body to, to stimulate a certain type of emotion. So when I just came to learn that, I was just saying, like, yo, we complain about everything, bro. Like, I see why they kind of be complaining about Gen Zs, bro. Like, we complain about everything sometimes, bro. Everything. And granted, this is not to say that we don't go through situations, but sometimes the adversities of life, people be saying is, like, causing them depression or they have such a bad life. It's like, no, that's just the adversities of life. Like, when I actually grew up and actually started hearing people's stories, I was like, yo, bro, like, I got a pretty rigorous childhood, / adulthood, intro to adulthood. But I'll be hearing some people's stories, but I'll just be like, yo, wow, you went through that? So it's like, bro, it's not new under the sun. And this is not to take away from my problems or somebody else's problems. What I'm trying to say is, like, sometimes them little inconveniences, even as myself, I was going through some myself, I had to realize, bro, this is a part of life. Like, it's okay. Like, I'm 26. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to be so tripped up, like, bro, oh my God. And this is something I'm still dealing with myself. So as I'm giving this advice, I'm trying to take it myself, So, but yeah, man, I think, I believe that that's really what it boils down to, is like sometimes we just a little bit too overly sensitive, bro. Especially when we get called out for stuff. Don't even get me started. Nah, we could get started on that, actually. We could talk about that. Because I hate that.
So I guess, what do you think? How do we know if we're sensitive or if our problems really matter?
If they really matter.
How do you know? So how do we know if it's sensitivity? I'm sensitive to the world. I'm sensitive to these issues that I have. I'm sensitive to whatever it is. But my problems are actually really significant, and I'm not tripping, or I'm not going crazy.
Yeah. So, well, that's kind of the gray area sometimes, especially as men, that we sometimes have, because sometimes we suppress some of our emotions or problems and we make them less than what they really need to be. But I would say, like, if it's always an excuse or always a complaint, more times it's not very sensitive. I ain't gonna lie. But what I mean by that, because granted, there's some times where I'm complaining sometimes because it's always something or another, and it's really real problems that I have, right? So how I like to say it sometimes is, like, how drastic are these problems, right? Is this something that's gonna matter in 5 years, in a year, in a couple months, right? Like with me, for example, like some of the situations sometimes, if it ever does end up being like a smaller situation I bring up to like friends, things of that nature, it's because there's other like more personal matters, right? That are also stacked up on top. So I'm like, yo, bro, like everything feel like it's going left. So, but even so, like them smaller situations, that's life. So sometimes I could be sensitive, right? So I'm not trying to make it seem as if like, yo, like it's just I'm never sensitive. Nah, there's sometimes I've been sensitive before to certain things, but I would say to be able to discern the difference, really, it just the stem of the problem, how long you got to deal with the problem, and the severity of the problem, I would say. So it's like let's say for example, let's say, um, let's say it's like a little argument, something like you can have with a friend, right? And it's like it's reconcilable. Like, let me not use that. Let me see. Let me use one from the internet. Cause people just be dragging it, bro. I ain't gonna lie. For example, let's say I call out a lot of bad behavior I used to do, right? I call it out in general. Sometimes people take it personal. I don't know what to tell you. Right? My biggest thing is like when I've come to know like a lot of things in this life are vain, and a lot of this stuff is used for our destruction, to like send us down a bad path of self-destruction, to destroy our minds, our bodies, like mating with multiple people. Statistics show like that leads to less successful marriages, right? Meanwhile, drinking as well, like it's horrible for your gut, horrible for your liver. Smoking too much, bad for your lungs. Like when I call stuff like this out, I'll just be honest and like, yo, like if you do this OD, bro, like you're a custody. People just be like, yo, bro, you might, nah, bro, but like it's true. If I was doing it, I'll be a custody too, right? You get what I'm saying? So like sometimes in situations like that, I ain't gonna lie, you being sensitive. But I've also understood too, like my tone can be a little bit aggressive. I'm from Flatbush, bro. I ain't gonna lie. So it's just, it comes off a certain way. I have a deep voice. I'm from Flatbush. So sometimes my approach can come off a little bit aggressive. But what I also tell myself too is like the tone I use for others sometimes is the tone I use for myself. So before people is on something like, why do you sound, yo, if you know how I talk to myself, not diminishing myself, but like, yo, bro, what's good with you? Like, why are you doing that? What's the benefit of that? What are you doing? You get what I'm saying? So like I've been around people that tell me just tell me the truth. Like just straight up tell me the truth, straight to my face. My brother was like that when he was alive. My mentor Dre is like that. Straight to my face, bro, tell me how it is. So it's like if I being a very, very like, how could I say, soft child growing up and like harsh speech kind of like would hit me. If I could deal with it, why can't y'all deal with it? Seriously though, but that's really just how it is. But of course I know, you know, being politically correct and all of that good stuff, I don't really care too much about doing that. I ain't gonna lie to you. My business is not to be politically correct. My business is to tell the truth. So I can't really baby people. It's like love. A lot of people think of love sometimes as only when you're soft, warm, and such, right? If I see you running into the street, right, and you don't see a car coming, and I scream, Avi! My bad, I didn't mean to scream heavy, but you get what I'm saying? If I scream at you, that's love, because I don't want to see you get hit by the car, right? So I do that sometimes with how I post or how I might have a tone, such and such. But I'm never on some like, yeah. Nah, bro, I'm not better than nobody. I've struggled with a lot of things. I still struggle with a lot of things, you know? But like, we just got to be better as a community. Like, we always have this energy for when people tell the truth, but never to the negative influences. Like, people don't have this type of like negative approach to like liquor or we, feel me, dealers. We never have that type of energy. We never have the energy for the people that literally glorify everything that's wrong with the world. But like for some reason, when people call out the truth, because the truth hurt, because you feel it, because you know you got to change, you take it personal. So that's why you're on some like, nah, you kind of coming off judgy. Nah, you feel in your heart that you're doing something wrong. And when someone call it out, you feel away. So that's why there's so much pushback. So that's what I just come to learn, like with addressing the truth, you know?
We're mad at we're mad at the message, not the messenger.
Both. Sometimes both. Sometimes I be mad at both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do wonder about that. The influences, and I guess that kind of goes into like the whole influencer thing. That's like the phenomena that's going on in social media now.
Yeah.
When I hear the word influencing or influencer, I'm thinking of somebody that's giving positive change. I'm thinking of somebody that's being an influencer of positive change, or influencing this, or influencing a generation, or changing a thought, changing a mindset. I looked up on the other day. I looked up on the other day because I'm looking for more guests and stuff like that. Social media influencers at NYC. I saw people that are clothing, lifestyle, beauty, all these things, and I do believe that that's influencing in a way. But when you look at when you look at influencing, what's the influence? What's the message that you're promoting? What is the thing that you're giving that people can take and absorb? And it doesn't even have to be a message. Like, you can be influencing a certain style, a certain trend. So like, I understand the clothing aspect or the style aspect. But then when you see other people that call themselves influencers, but they're not influencing anything, but they're influencing all these other glorifications of negativity, of vanity, of all of these things, how are you considered an influencer if you're influencing a generation to do negative things?
Yeah. Lord.
Let's talk about it.
Man, let's talk about that. Yo, one of my biggest things, man, I don't call people influencers if they don't influence anything. I don't really care if people have like 10,000, 100,000, a million. Like, the beautiful thing, and I'm very happy about this, is the fact that I've been able to be exposed to celebrities, right? Through the Crew League. The Crew League, in 2021, when I went, I met NBA players. I met Kenneth Fareed, Quincy Miller, Amir Johnson, Chris Brown. Drake was in the spot, Bobby Shmurda, all of them, right? But these people chop it like regular people, right? Now, this is all going to boil back to what we're saying now. Now, sometimes we attribute the amount of people that focus on a person to their worth, right? And what I mean by that is like what their voice holds. And like, I've come to learn sometimes, like, just because someone is widely known does not mean they're a positive influence, or that they should be influencing people. You get what I'm saying? So like, people just be like, oh, because again, I used to be like that again. I used to struggle with idolatry, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. I used to be a super Kanye fan, like everything Kanye. Yo, he's just super misunderstood. Y'all don't know he a genius. I've been there. So that's why when I call stuff out, once again, people be acting like I've arrived. Listen, I've been there before. But like with these influences, man, it's like you put like, America is one of the countries where it's been glamorized to be a bozo on the internet. It's just that simple. Like we give people money, followers, and attention for moving like idiots. You get what I'm saying? Moving like idiots. So what I mean by that is like, we see people that's literally going out to people and just asking them stupid questions, or just like pulling pranks to get people upset. A lot of the times, those pranks almost get people punched in their face. Sometimes stab shot if they mess with the wrong people. You get what I'm saying? They be like, "Oh, yo, boy's a joke." Why are we glamorizing this, bro? Like, why is this? Or like guys going up to women or like trying to put a gold digger thing, where it's like they talk to a woman and then they walk over to a super expensive car. Why is this the media like that we taking our time to put our effort into? You get what I'm saying? Like, I know
you see it now with Ashton Hall. You literally see it now with Ashton Hall.
I don't even know who that is.
The guy with the glass bottles, the water, the ice bowl.
Yo, you know what's mad funny? I actually just posted those Saratoga things because my mom actually likes Saratoga water. Yeah. I posted on my story. Mad people was like, "Yo, bro, no way, not you, not you."
Yeah, I didn't know if you knew about him, but basically,
I didn't know his name.
But you know,
I know he does. Of the videos.
Yeah. It's kind of funny that why are we so negative towards a person he's influencing a good lifestyle? There's nothing wrong with his lifestyle, I don't think. There's nothing wrong with Ashton Hall's lifestyle. It's just the quirkiness of the videos that's being made that people see it as, why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? Why are we so overcritical? Why are we so judgmental of what another person is doing with their life?
Because we're not ready to address our flaws, so we'd rather do it to other people.
But there's nothing wrong with what he's doing.
I mean, listen, man. Like,
in a certain respect, there is, but
yeah, I know what you mean. Like, that's a lot. Saratoga ain't cheap.
yeah.
But I mean, like, to be honest, like, listen, man. Like, I'm a very low maintenance person, so I'm not about to like you just give me regular water, bro. You know what I'm saying? But honestly, like, one of my biggest things is like, how does someone influence a community? Is like, if a guy's just posting like, yo, I just washed my face with Saratoga water and ice, it's like, okay, cool. Like, I don't really pay too much mind. The people that's going above and beyond and being on some like, yo, bro, you're so corny. It's like, all right, bro, like, you're giving too much time and effort to somebody else's life. And I'm heavy on that. Like, all due respect, I'm not trying to say like he's irrelevant. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's like, but it's like, with my life, I'm worried about what affects my life, right? If I see something like that, it's like, oh, someone lived like that, cool, more power to him. You get what I'm saying? Like, cool, if that's how he rolled, that's what's up, like, for him. Now, I'm not passive like that if it's something that's negative. Like, nah, bro, I ain't gonna lie, that's a bad influence to the community. I ain't gonna lie, you feel what I'm saying? But, like, yeah, with stuff like that, bro, like, there's a lot of people that, even I remember that woman who used to cook stuff from scratch. I forgot her name, but she was cooking stuff from scratch, and there was a bunch of people that was complaining, saying like, I would never do that for a husband. I would never. It's like, cool. Who asked you? You know, we get so comfortable getting personal with other people on the internet when they literally just like living their life. You know what I mean? And it's like, they not like living their life, not breaking God's law, literally just chilling and just showing you like, oh yeah, this is what I do with myself. I do know I get it, because the world thrives off of negativity. A lot of people thrive off of negativity. Just like I said before, it's so much easier to call out the bad in other people instead of calling the bad in yourself. That's the easiest sign that you're insecure. And I know, because I used to be like that. Super. So, like, if I see people like unprovoked, just like insulting people, bro, you're super immature. Well, you're immature and you're insecure. Immature and insecure. 100%. Like, it's clear as day. Like I said, when I call stuff out, it's stuff I dealt with before. So that's why sometimes when I call stuff out, it's like, yeah, but that person doesn't have any self-confidence. They be like, how do you know? I used to be that. I could tell. It's their mannerisms. There's certain things you do to try to get certain validation from people or make yourself feel better. Like, oh, yo, this person do this, I don't do that, you know? So, yeah, man. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I talked to you a little bit about this before the podcast, but last weekend I went to a live podcast, and it was from a fellow podcaster. And we kind of touched a little bit on mental health and a lot of the things that go on in the world now. And there was a lady that was talking about how she's Nigerian, and it was elaborated that the mental health problem that she went through, or that she was going through, didn't really matter, or it wasn't accepted, it wasn't looked at, it wasn't validated. Now, for me to, as I am not Nigerian, as I was raised differently, and as I won't fully understand, but I think it's important that I at least know, because if I don't know, then I feel like I'm ignorant, and if I'm ignorant, I'm not aware, and if I'm not aware, then I can't understand. For you, growing up, as you are Nigerian, what was that dynamic of mental health like?
Mental health?
For you?
For me? Jeez. Man, I'll be real with you. Everyone's life is different. You know, I don't like to try to generalize sometimes. There are some things I do hear a lot regarding like Nigerians in the sense of like being neglected, like people our age with like mental health and such. Like again, that just boils back to what I was saying before in the sense of like we have parents that grew up in a different country and a different style, different way of things, right? So like there's some things they're just not knowledgeable of compared to us, right? Here as we grow up. So, you know, even sometimes with like my parents like trying to relay certain information or like messages over, sometimes it's not really too receptive because like they haven't expressed that themselves properly to their parents, or their parents probably ain't addressed that with them. So it was difficult sometimes, and I believe that's one of the biggest things now is as I've become more aware of like you know like when I minored in sociology, I interact with so many different people from so many different areas, whether it be basketball, whether it be um um church community, just community in general, you know. Like I'm more aware of like things like emotional intelligence. And like sometimes as you get more aware of that as you heal, you start to realize like, yo, healing needs to be done in a lot of areas. Right. I've heard that a lot for a lot of different people, like their mental health not being addressed by people. And, you know, for myself, like I felt like that sometimes. I'm not gonna lie to you. I can't sit here and lie for nobody. There's been a lot of times where I feel like a voice wasn't heard. I'm not fully understood in the sense of as I'm trying to relay a message over, and it could be frustrating, man. Because like sometimes when you try to change your approach, or you try to like, how could I say, you want to deliver the message the best way, or like mend it for the receiver to understand, but sometimes they just don't understand. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they don't understand because they generally don't. Sometimes they don't because they don't want to understand. You know what I'm saying? So that's it hit hard sometimes. So it's a case by case situation. But like, yeah, man, like honestly, like, and again, I'm a believer, so it's like a lot of people sometimes like they just address it to like, yo, you just have to pray. But it's like, all right, cool. But it's like we also need community that understands what we're going through. We also need like a listening ear that truly is understanding what's going on, not just suppressing, just like how you said, just putting stuff under the rug. It's like we can't just put stuff under the rug. It's like it says in the word, like faith without works is dead. So it's like, yes, I have faith that the Lord is going to do it, but I got to put in some type of work to also showcase I have faith, right? Like works is a showcase of my faith. Me moving in a certain way is doing that. So like, if you're saying like, all right, cool, we got to pray to God, all right, cool, but like we got to make an environment that's safe enough for us to speak and feel like we're being heard, right? And like I told you for myself, like there's been times where I didn't feel that. You know what I mean? Like, and there was even times where I got to the point I was on some like, I don't feel the need to talk. Because if I'm not going to be heard, there's no point in me speaking. I'm very, you know, and that's not healthy. And that's why like sometimes it can, just like how you were saying before, it can come out in other ways. So I could be holding in something from a situation like that. All of a sudden, a friend could get me tight. Because there was times, a good amount of my friends are telling me, yo, bro, you be spazzing sometimes. It'll be me holding on to something because I haven't spoke about something in the past, right? And then, so, yeah, man, I was a little all over the place with that. But, yeah, man, like, with that, it's definitely a touchy topic with me because, like, as I get older, like, it's hard because it's like you want to explain, but then it's like, is it going to be received? If it's not received, you just end up being even more upset. You know, so sometimes you kind of like, let me just avoid putting myself in a situation that's gonna get me more upset.
So how have you dealt with that? Because obviously anger is not a good. It's not a good. It's not a good emotion. It's as I hear, it's a very wounded emotion. It's a very wounded emotion of either childhood, still trying to resolve that conflict within yourself or resolve that childhood wound. How have you been able to kind of improve that or lessen the effects of blowing up or lessen the effects of anger? Because quite frankly, you might not know about this, but I grew up with anger issues. And I was throw tantrums. I'd be like 8 years old, 10 years old, and I just throw tantrums. And I find myself holding on to that anger, and it shows up in different ways for sure. I don't blow up on people, but I notice that there's an inner conflict within myself. It's an inner dialogue between my anger and where I am now. It's like sensei and the master of the anger, and it's this awareness that I'm trying to like. They're essentially fighting each other. I'm aware that I'm angry. I'm aware that this part of myself is also calm and blissful, but to not acknowledge to not acknowledge and not realize the fact that I'm angry shows me that I don't have an understanding of myself. But I know it's there. I know that I'm angry, but I'm not able to display it. I'm not able to show it in certain ways, whether it's working out, going for a run, using it for a good cause. And that's how that's happened in my life. And it's how I've dealt with it is I've isolated from people when I'm angry, because I'd rather find solace in isolation than blowing up on somebody else. But obviously that's not healthy, because if you're distancing yourself from other people, that's when you probably need the community the most. So how have you been able to deal with that anger, or how have you been trying to become better at handling and taming the anger?
First, we have to find the root cause. And that's again why I say why it's so important to go back and see what traumatized you in your past.
And what is that for you?
For myself, that's a lot, man. I ain't gonna lie. Like, from the fashion of how my brother's life was taken, from even little things, man. Like, we had 2 dogs who had passed from I don't want to traumatize dog owners, but they got hit by cars. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there was even a time I even remember, I was actually even talking about it earlier today, that I remembered that I almost lost my life, and I didn't even remember. It was basically my mom, before this restaurant she had an old restaurant by Kotayu in Flatbush, right? There was a barbershop right next to it. And my mom had asked me to get change from there, from one of the barbers that we knew inside of there, right? So I went, took the 20, gave it to him. Gave it to him. I asked him if he had change. He said no. I said cool. So I walked literally around the corner, right? Asking different people, because there was different stores. Nobody had change. Came around the corner. I think I ended up saying, like, Mommy, I wasn't able to find change. Before I could even walk back into the store, I saw there was yellow tape. I'm like, why is there yellow tape? All of a sudden I go inside the restaurant. I'm like, Mommy, what happened? And then she's saying like there was a shooting in the barbershop. Literally. So let's say you walk inside the barbershop, right? As you facing, the barber was right here, right? A couple minutes after I left, somebody came into the store and literally just shot in that direction, firing, killed him. So I forgot about that, right? But like little things like that sparked anger, because I was like, what caused that, right? What caused someone to take someone's life like that? Little things like even like my brother's situation is just thinking about like someone saw people and just took their lives, like hidden anger in there to the person who took my brother's life. Hidden anger sometimes to like family, sometimes when I felt like I was misunderstood, you know what I'm saying? Like when you address that, it's pushback, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. From times where maybe friends weren't there for me in very, very vulnerable times, or like their tone in certain ways, you know? Like I noticed that with myself too with some friends. Like there was sometimes like after my brother passed, like certain tones of how some people used to like address certain things. Like I remember one time, like Offhead, I'm even gonna talk to him about that eventually. But one of my peoples, I think I was obviously I was doing terrible after my brother passed, and I think it was like a time where like he kind of was like saying like, bro, like you fake using excuses. And my mom, bro, I'm just looking at him like, yo, bro, you okay? My other friend actually went up to him like, bro, that's not valid, bro. Like, what's good with you, right? But like, little things like that, like, and that's why I say why it's so important to address problems you have with people directly. As much as that problem may have been addressed, right? I never spoke to him directly about it. So I noticed, yo, I'm holding that in, right? So now I'm trying to get better with understanding the root causes of certain things, because I'm like, yo, I don't just get tight. I just don't get upset. I don't think I'm like super, super upset at you about this situation. I think it might have been a situation from our past that we never addressed, right? So I feel like I'm trying to get better at doing that. Definitely journaling. Obviously, like I said, praying to the Lord more. Trying to alleviate some of the pain that I have from certain things, from certain traumas in my past and such, of which I've dealt with, you know, and just try to give all of those burdens to him sometimes. You know, like it's not easy, man. I ain't gonna lie. Like, and that's why I always try to make sure, like, never tell people, like, yo, I haven't arrived. Like, you know, sometimes, like, I have great advice, but, like, I sometimes need that advice myself. Like, I'm still going through this life thing myself, you know? And that's the beautiful thing about it is, like, we all are on level playing fields. We just all have different paths. But, like, with myself now, just, like, I try to make sure to just give more of it to the Lord because Lord knows I could hold a grudge. I ain't gonna lie, I could hold a grudge, bro. But it's not healthy, you know? Even another situation I could think of last year, my tournament, like a whole situation I got into with one of the refs right after the tournament. And after my mind, I was like, yo, bro, don't ever bring that man in my tournament again. And I was like, bro, don't ever do that again. Because I was tight. But then after a while, I was like, bro, you know, just give grace. Like, let go of it. You know? Right, but this stuff is not easy. Prayer. Just prayer. Like, you're not going to feel good in the moment sometimes. You may not even feel good a week later. You just gotta keep doing it and keep just asking God to soften your heart and just alleviate the situation. And with time, bro, like once you address the problem, people say time heals. When you address the problem and you work towards to fixing it, time will heal, obviously, because you're working on something over time. If you just leave it and you just think time is gonna fix it, unfortunately, let me be the one to tell you that is not going to happen. I'm looking in the camera, that's not gonna happen. So, yeah, man, just that's kind of what I've been doing, you know, and just trying to figure it out, man, honestly, every single day. But like I said, that's why it's so beautiful having a tight-knit community around you, because there's sometimes I've been the person who people could speak to when they're frustrated and such. And I feel like had a season over the last year where I've been very, very frustrated by life, very, very annoyed by certain things because certain things haven't been in order, such and such. And I have a great community that's just on some like, yo, bro, remember this, and they pointing me back to God. So that's really how I've been doing it. I should ask. Now I'm the podcaster. How about you?
I forgot even I asked the question. I was just listening.
Oh yeah.
What did so I think if we're talking about, I do remember correctly, we're talking about alleviating and letting go of the anger and there's a great quote by Mike Tyson, and he's talking to Shaquan Barkley, and I think it's such a great quote because Shaquan explains to him, and like when you see Mike Tyson now, I'm always in awe of Mike Tyson because you never think that you know who Mike is, and I don't think we give him enough credit in society because this man has overcome demons, just demons that we have no awareness of, but we can see it. We've been able to see it in boxing, and we've been able to see it by the way he talks about it. And Shaquan Barkley was alluding to just somebody that did him wrong, or how he hasn't been able to forgive them, or how he's used it as negative. He's used that negative source for motivation. And Mike Tyson was like, no. See, that person is your master. You've made them your master because they have control over your energy. They have control over your emotions. They're your master. You're their puppet. They're playing with you. If they have enough energy, if they have enough bandwidth and enough space in your mental to control that, to control how you feel, to control how you think of yourself, to control the way you feel about yourself, using them for sources of motivation, they control you. They're your master. 100%. So the thing to do is let it go, or understand that it no longer serves you anymore. It's already happened. Accept it and love them. And it's weird because, and even, in my darkest moments, and dating back to basketball, to dating back to whenever a relationship ended or heartbreak or certain things, I've always wanted to use that for motivation, and never really understood that that's holding me back. because I'm using this negative source that will eventually be finite. That is finite, because at some point it's going to run out. You're 40 years old and you're worried about what happened at 14 with a high school basketball coach. Grow up.
Don't even get me started with that.
You're worried about what happened, but I can understand, and I have empathy because I understand that those things are hard, and it's not right for us to say, why are you still attached to that? Because if you are still attached to that, that had to do some emotional damage to you. That had to have some effect on you in some way. And it's not right or wrong for you to point at somebody and say, oh, why are you still attached to that? Why is this person still your master? Why are they still controlling you? Because at the end of the day, if it hurts you, it hurts you. Nobody can tell you what hurts you and what can hurt you. Like, that event did happen. That circumstance did happen. Whatever happened, that hurt, it happened. But moving forward, you have to detach from the emotions of it. And there's so many things in my life where I've held on to the emotion. I've held on to the attachment of the emotion. I've held on to the attachment of the attachment. And it's, oh, now this is pulling me back. And then I realize, well, this is why I'm not receiving certain blessings, or I'm not receiving certain things, or I'm not progressing in life, because I'm still tied back to this one thing that happened.
I just got, so I love God because you don't understand why, because when people speak, either Bible verses pop up in my mind or analogies, right? So an analogy that just came into mind, I believe I heard this one time from somebody, was you don't drive the entire time looking at the rearview mirror. If you drive the entire time looking at the rearview mirror, you're going to crash. You're going forward, but you're going to crash because you have no sight. You have no foresight, right? Because you're always looking backwards. You're not going to look in the rearview mirror the entire time. So I believe that's kind of how it is sometimes when we hold on to grudges. And just like how you said, like, I can't tell someone how long they should be on something. But what I do say is, are you making the necessary steps towards healing? Your healing could take however long it wants to take. Are you taking the steps towards healing? Because if you're not taking those steps towards healing, then it's an issue. Then it can be called out. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Like, I believe with a lot of people, and that's just going back to like how society is nowadays, we don't want to be confrontational, so we don't want to address the situation. It's been popularized to just cut people off whenever there's slight inconveniences or you don't feel like talking, in the name of, I like to protect my peace. You don't like to protect your peace. You're just non-confrontational. And you just don't want to say anything because you're afraid to speak. And, yo, listen, man, I'm colder now who I used to be, you know, and that I was getting over. And, yeah, we just, you know, just avoiding the situation is like, no, we can't do that. We can't do that. Like, we need to put in the work. The alcohol is not going to suppress it. Well, it's going to suppress it a little bit, but it's going to come right back up when you get sober again. The weed isn't going to do it. Having sex with mad women isn't going to do it. Going to the club every single weekend isn't going to do it. These are all distractions to take you away from dealing with your issues. And like I said, I've been there. So I know it was doing that, right? And I understand how destructive it is, because not only are these things taking your time and prolonging what could be your healing season, but it's also going to have a negative long-term effect on you if you constantly are doing it, right? And then not to mention just ingesting certain types of media, like, that constantly tells people like, yo, like, bro, the world is weird today, bro. Like, I don't keep up with a lot of this stuff. Even for example, like the whole Kendrick and Drake thing, right? People were saying like, yo, like, Kendrick told me a new level of petty I never seen before. I want to be like that. I want to be someone's biggest hater now. He told me a different level of being a hater that I've never seen before. I'm like, yo, bro, y'all okay? Like, why are we glamorizing? I'm not even talking about that situation no more. In general, why are we glamorizing negative emotions and holding on to grudges? And like, because the world is backwards. You already know the answer I'm going to give. It's going to be according to the Bible, because the Bible said all of this stuff already. But yeah, but we glorify everything that's negative. We wonder why we feel negative when we by ourselves at nighttime. And then people just say, you know what, I'm just going to do all of this instant gratification to suppress my mind and just go keep myself busy so I don't got to think about it. And then that's just how most people go through life. And then they wonder why they're just taking time bombs. We got to heal, bro. Like, we have to heal. It's not easy to look at your pain in the mirror. It's not. There's been times I have cried some tears. I'm not afraid to say that. There's some things that have hurt me in my life. I have to look at that and say, like, yo, I'm not comfortable with this. But I address it and I'm saying, you know what? God, I don't know how to start, but just lead me down some type of healing. Tell me how I have to fix it. And from there, I just go. And that, you know, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's easier to do that than to just, you know, distract yourself with every single thing that's possible. Even sometimes too, like, even for example, like, even like with women or like men. I said women in the sense of like with men. A lot of times when we have problems that we don't want to deal with, because a lot of men lack intimacy. Intimacy is really just being around people you love, right? Like very, very, like, you know, I was about to use the word in the actual definition. I'm hilarious. But a lot of men struggle from a lack of intimacy, myself included, right? From like the dynamic of like when I grew up and all of this good stuff, right? So a lot of men sometimes use trying to pursue women as that intimacy, right? So when you see a lot of men just like, well, mad women is like, bro, I could tell you probably have an intimacy issue. You don't really get too much intimacy. So you're trying to seek the most intimate thing possible, right? Between two humans, a man and a woman, right? To try to fulfill yourself. The reason, and that high you constantly need it. Why? Because you lack in intimacy. So you see what I'm saying is like we have this deep-rooted issue. It's like we trying to find a cure for the symptoms, but not for the root cause. And sometimes we actually make that root cause our identity.
Is it lack intimacy though, or lack vulnerability and transparency? Because I think that there's a difference. Because intimacy, I think intimacy, transparency, and vulnerability all play in the same realm.
Mm-hmm.
Intimacy, yes, is physical course, but I think the running from and being with a lot of women is because they don't want to be transparent and vulnerable. Mm-hmm. So they're running. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you're not protecting, how you said protecting your peace. You're not protecting your peace. You're protecting your avoidance. You're protecting your avoidance. You're protecting the inability to be vulnerable. You're protecting the inability to be transparent. You're protecting the inability to be human. So you're avoiding the avoidance. You're protecting that avoidance. And it's like what you're not willing to work on is going to hinder you in a way. Exactly. And you could protect that avoidance for so long, but when you really want a relationship, when you really desire a relationship, the only thing you understood how to do was avoid. Mm-hmm. Love came up, you avoided. Love came up, you ran away. Love came up, you ghosted.
Hello.
You're protecting the avoidance. So you're not protecting your peace at all. You're protecting this thing, this mechanism, this defensive mechanism that's not allowing you to be intimate, vulnerable, transparent with another individual, because either A, you're not transparent or vulnerable with yourself, or two, you're afraid of what other people are going to see you truly as.
Exactly. And not only that, also, there was a thought that came to mind. Yeah, just like, that's why, like I said, a lot of people don't want to do the work. And like, sometimes, like, when I say what I say, it comes from the heart because I've experienced this stuff, right? And a lot of people, once again, that's why I say why it's so important to have people that knew you for so long. Not even that knew you for so long, that just know you, right? And see the type of work you put in. Like, people that know me from high school know the type of work I put in to become the person I am today. Like, a lot of things that people, like, say, like, oh, you're such a good speaker, or, like, you're this, or you're that, or you're this. It's like, bro, all of that I had to work for. If I go down the list, I work in IT. Obviously, my rigorous college career, transferring to 3 different schools, right? Taking 5.5 years. I'm a graphic designer. I'm very good at graphic design. I've self-taught, right? 5 years of me doing that, trial and error. Me becoming confident in myself, me finding the Lord, like that takes time. That took multiple times of me beating myself up, telling myself I'm not good enough, telling myself this, right? So like, that's why sometimes like I call it out, because like I just see it for what it's for. It's just like, you just not ready to do the work on yourself. And like, you just keep doing this avoidance thing. You feel me? So that's, in a sense, when we could say it's being sensitive, right? Because yes, you went through the situation, but are you actively trying to heal, or are you actively trying to avoid it and saying you're at peace by avoiding it? Like, that I can't respect. I can't respect that at all. And I used to do that before. So again, I'm not, but at the end of the day, it's like, I don't respect what I used to do. How we become better is by addressing the elephant in the room. We have to, because if you don't, you're not going to develop. You could be here. God has this plan for you, but because you want to be stuck in your ways in a certain thing, or not move in a certain way, such and such, you stuck here. You know what I mean? And like, society has just made it cool for people to just like be stuck in a negative, or like not work on themselves. And it's like, nah, bro, when someone doesn't do that and actually works on themselves, such and such, and I'm not even talking about myself, just in general, like, it seems like such an anomaly. It's like, nah, bro, this is possible for everybody. But you just got to understand this is affecting you. You listening to this type of music all the time, this is, you wonder why you think how you think. You know what I'm saying? We follow pages like The Shade Room or Justin Lawboy, such like that do nothing but toxic information, like freaking hypotheticals, right? Be on some like, yo, she got glasses, that means she gonna see herself out of your life. It's like, now all of a sudden you thinking about that situation that had nothing to do with that from your past, and you're like, yeah, bro, that's why I can never trust women. That's why I can bro, you're hurt. Go heal, bro. You feel me? Go heal. Women too, that's why I can, bro, heal, bro. And like, I'm so tired of seeing it, and like when you call it out, all of a sudden it's like, oh, bro, nah, I'm not being healed. Like, we grown, bro. Like, if I got to do it, I'm not saying you got to do it the same time I did it, but make the effort to do it. Take however long you need to heal, bro. I could care less. I'm not trying to seem insensitive to the matter, but it's like, everyone, it could take 10 years to heal from something. But are you actively trying to heal from it every single day? That's all I care about. I'm actively trying to heal from my brother's situation. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I haven't apprehended it fully, but I'm getting to a point where it's like, you know what? I'm coming more to peace with it. The anniversary of his death passed. His birthday passed, right? Within the time of this new year. And this is the most at peace I've been with it, right? It's been 6 years now, because I'm actively telling myself I wasn't okay. I do miss him. And I actively let my emotions fall through in healthy fashions. And I talk about it, you know? So I think that's really all it is. Just more more like letting people know they're able to do that. But sometimes, bro, like I said, people just be stuck in their ways. So it's like, I put information out there for people that want to help themselves. I ain't gonna lie, bro. If it seems as if I'm judging, I don't know what to tell people. I could change my tone sometimes, though. But
I do want to, the 2 points I do want to get to. I'm trying to figure out which way I want to go first, but I do want to get to your brother, because I do want to ask you about that. But something that we talked about prior to the podcast was managing or understanding how to either help this person or provide help, or understand that, you know, I'm overstaying my stay. I'm overstaying my vacation, or I'm overstaying the visit.
Okay.
Yeah. How have you been able to kind of understand that? Like, yeah, I want to help the people around me grow, but I don't also want to do that at the expense of myself.
How willing are they to accept your help? That's what I've learned. How willing are they to accept your help? Sometimes people don't know they need help, right? So like, you work with people, like it's case by case situation.
All right, back.
All right, bet. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Back
like we actually never left, but we did leave for a little bit.
For a little bit.
All right.
We back now.
All right. Do you remember your thought?
Yeah, I do remember my thought. So, how willing people are to accept help. Like I said, there's been times where like I tell people about themselves, and even sometimes where they told me about myself, and like, again, like sometimes like, I don't expect people to always be receptive to something the first time. But like, if we come back to the point and we aren't able to come to an agreement and even agree to disagree, you know, or just like some type of like respectful mutual conversation, I understand how you cool. That person is gonna have to learn the hard way. It's just what it is. Like I said, life is so much easier when you don't have to go through certain situations. There's some things you don't have to learn from experience, right? And that's the beauty about mentors. That's the beauty about wisdom, right? Just like, and having the right people around you. But yeah, like for myself, like sometimes I told myself, because again, I love helping people, right? Even my time, like obviously, like I'm a servant leader, for example, in the Bible study community. I make myself available for people. Like if they got questions about this, people be on the phone with me for like an hour, 2 hours. I end up saying like, bro, I ain't gonna lie, bro, this is draining to me, right? Because I still got my own problems, and I'm counseling people through their problems. Like I can't keep doing this over and over again, and I'm not addressing what I have going on, right? So that's when I started creating healthy boundaries and started saying like, okay, are you doing this and this? And sometimes they say yes, sometimes this. Or if they say no, I say, okay, you got to do this and this. Practice this and this for a set period of time. Get back to me, right? Because if it feels like you're coming back to me with the same situations or the same problems or such and such, like I can't. Now, unfortunately, like I can't give a lending ear to that. I can only give a lending ear to that for so long, right? And granted, I feel like there's been times too where that's been a situation. Well, some people have felt like that way with me, right? But like, yeah, man. Honestly, that's why I say I haven't apprehended. I'm using Paul's language from the freaking Bible. I haven't arrived. Like I haven't gotten to that point yet of like I've overcoming this stuff. Like there's still times where I need to sometimes, take my own advice and heal from certain things or make certain actions towards something or take people's advice. So yeah, man, I think it's case by case. You just got to see where someone's mind is at, how willing they are to take the information that you're giving them. And even though you know, sometimes like, yo, that could be unhealthy for you, or yo, that's not a wise idea. Some people have to learn from experience. I've just come to learn that. So sometimes I just put my head back as a bro, guy, like I can't stress myself, my fault. Accent came on, my bad, yeah. I can't, no, seriously, bro, like I can't stress myself, bro. Like I'm 26, bro. Like, I'm actually very okay off of stress. I'm very okay.
I do want to talk about the event that you spoke at, the Junior Blacks on Wall Street. And you spoke in front of 200 high school students. And that video was very powerful because number one, I think how relatable it was. The transparency, the vulnerability in that, and just sharing your story and where you came from was an incredible thing. The semesters that you literally almost got dismissed, academically dismissed, and just kind of like extending that to the audience and seeing not only number one how far you came, but just a testament of God's glory, So I definitely want to know more about what the initiative for that organization is and how you plan to contribute to that.
Okay. Yeah, so Junior Blacks on Wall Street is basically a subsector of Blacks on Wall Street. It's a nonprofit. And Junior Blacks on Wall Street's mission, more so, is founded by myself, Steve, Lonnie, Razak, and Banga, right? Those are the 5 of us. So the initiative, more so, all of us work in IT, right? Ever since, basically, like, IT isn't a field that's really, how could I say, a lot of people that come from where we come from sometimes aren't exposed to things like that. Now, it's not only just for people like that, right, that come from where we come from, but I would say, like, we emphasize on that, right? Because it's important for us to, as we have learned and had experiences, to give those experiences back to people. And one thing I've learned is, like, the Lord will have you go through situations not only for yourself to grow, but also for you to give a testament of His glory, then also, too, for other people to be relatable to you. So it's like, had I not gone through all of the stuff I went to, I wouldn't be more empathetic to people, right? To be able to understand where people are coming from, So, like, yeah, so it's just been on all of our hearts to just try to help people as IT is becoming a bigger market, as there's some people who aren't sure if they want to transition, or students who are trying to figure out, yo, what should I do? How do I start my professional career? What are the steps of how I get into the field as AI is coming in now, and there's mass layoffs, and there's a bunch of people that's getting into the field, you know, just like we're saying, like the community needs this, you know, and there's not something like this. We don't see something like this, at least in New York. So let's try to do this ourselves. We have an extensive enough network to be able to make something happen, the resources to put ourselves out there. And actually, like, it comes genuinely. Some people do this stuff just to, like, you feel what I'm saying, just say, like, yo, just for a photo op, like, yo, I did this, you know what I'm saying? But, like, we actually genuinely do this from the heart. And that's why I said what I said when I had that speech was everyone there, everyone, all 5 of us truly care about helping people in IT. And even what's crazy is, like, sometimes helping people, even when you don't have everything figured out yourself, you know, like, there's still some things I'm even trying to figure out for myself too. But, like, if I have the information, I could change somebody's world or change the trajectory of someone's life, why not give that? You know what I mean? I don't need to have everything figured out. And I even went to an event not too long ago called Empowerment Through Allyship. Someone I know from Sentinel One, Frank, he actually invited me because he was on the panel. And they were just talking about how you don't have to be at like a super, super high position to be an ally to someone. They were primarily talking about women. But even just in general, bro, like, you know, I don't need to be like a super, super like a VP to like put someone onto the game. It's like I tell people, for example, a quick thing that just come off head, like going to a 4-year school, which is way more expensive, knowing you got to take out way more loans instead of just going to a community college that's right around the corner from it, right, for your first 2 years. Especially if you don't know what you want to do. Go to a community college, smallest classes, less tuition, right? And like I said, some of this stuff is frowned upon. Why? I don't know. Well, we know why. But we know why. Everyone cares about status. Bro, none of that stuff matters, right? That's what I'm saying. Like little gems like this, like taking out like emergency loans, emergency grants from schools if you've been through hardship, right? If you're struggling to pay for your rent or things of that nature. A lot of people don't know about some of these type of programs. So as we're doing this, it's like I've had a rigorous path. I don't want people to go through what I went through. I really don't. You know, not everyone is, and I'm not even trying to like uplift myself, but it's like not everyone is really built to go through some of the stuff I went through. I just gotta say it's point blank simple, right? So I'm not built for some of the stuff some other people might have went through, right? So giving that feedback, giving that advice to help now, tell someone, okay, cool. I was thinking about doing this. Let me change the trajectory of what I was going to do. Or let me start this from earlier so I'm more experienced with this, right? The goal is to, with anything in life, but especially for Junior Blacks on Wall Street, is make the pathway easier and smoother for those that come after us, right? People be so upset when people that come after have things better, but it's like, bro, that's how it should be. We should be making it easier for those that come after us. Likewise, not saying they don't gotta put in the work, but there's some stuff that people don't have to go through. You know what I mean? To be successful. So that's primarily what we do, like the mission that we have, and I'm thankful to be a part of it, man. Honestly.
Yeah, I think what also I found really fascinating is that the amount of the demographic that's usually in IT. And I can imagine that there's probably some marginalized racism that goes on in terms of just doing IT isn't always people that enter the IT backgrounds don't always look like you. If that makes sense.
No. Oh yeah, it's over. They don't.
And I think it's incredibly powerful that you're able to build something and stand on something that can help the next generation of young Black men. And I think that that's powerful. I think that people sometimes need to see that it's possible.
Yeah, man.
They need to see that it's possible. You know, people need to see you, and this relates to you, this relates to myself. People need to see that the things that you can achieve is possible. They just need to know it's possible.
Yeah.
They just need to have an understanding, well, he did it. And what if I could too? What if I put my energy and all the desire that I have in this one thing that I truly love? That it's possible. Because if he did it, imagine that I could do it too. And especially the city that we live in and some of the opportunities that not many people are granted. How powerful just knowing that somebody did it and somebody's there for you and somebody can help you along the way and somebody can give you the advice and put you on and all of this. That it's possible.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And even right after I gave my speech, right after the entire event was done, when they gave time for like networking and such, and we had the desk, a good amount of the students came up to me and was just saying like they really appreciated my story and such. And bro, more than anything, I was thankful to be there, to be of help to them, you know? And like as they were just talking, I was just saying like this is really what it's about. Like we're meant to help other people. Like we really are, you know, even like with me even coaching too, I started coaching around New Heights, right? So we deal with some of the kids where they're just now getting into basketball. And at first it was super annoying because I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little impatient when it comes to basketball. If you're not good, I ain't gonna lie. So I get it, but then I gotta I'm like, yo, there was a time I couldn't catch a basketball to save my life. So I gotta be patient, right? But nearing the end of it, as I'm actually seeing the kids get better, their responses, how they react to you, is like we don't end up seeing like how important a positive role model is in your life. And like I said too, is like I only have so many in my life, right? And they came in like the latter parts of my life. You know, obviously outside of my brother, outside of my brother, you know. And when you have that at an early age, like someone that believes in you from an early age, your trajectory can go so much farther. Like I'm pretty sure you've heard the story of NBA players is like they've been playing basketball since they could remember. And their parent was always saying, I believe in you. Or those around them were saying, I believe in you, right? I truly tell these people, it's like, yo, it's possible. I don't care how many obstacles I'm faced with, bro. I ain't gonna lie, just like, and I also think, again, that just comes from my faith in the Lord, right? There's a verse from Lamentations 3:37 that says, who is the man that says a thing? Who is the man that commandeth a thing and it comes to pass? No, sorry. Who is the man that says a thing and it comes to pass when the Lord has not commanded it? What does that mean? It's like, say for example, someone is saying like, yo, bro, you'll never be successful. It's like, who are you to say that when God has not said that upon my life, right? So I walk with that type of mindset now. So like, granted, again, obstacles come, all of this good stuff. But like, no matter what trajectory, I've just learned, bro, I'm the type of person, we got to adapt. You don't adapt, you're going to get left in the wind. Get right to get left, right? So people, granted, and I'm not saying you got to be okay with everything. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like, sometimes we spend too much saying like, yo, these are the conditions. We complain about the conditions that aren't going to change for a period of time. And meanwhile, we missing our opportunity, you know, to actually capitalize on what we have going on. So I've just learned that is like, more times than not, successful people that look like me, more times than not, bro, they not making excuses, right? It's what it is. I had to learn, bro, I got to stop making so many excuses. Because there's going to be times, bro, it's just going to be something I'm not going to like. You got to deal with it. It is what it is, you know? I appreciate, even as a man I met about a year ago, Mr. Ross, Renault Ross, right? He's the CEO of a cybersecurity consulting firm. And like even his story, just seeing is like, this is a man, he don't got no college education, but he's one of the OGs in cybersecurity. Became a millionaire, right? Overseas, and he gives back to the community. He has a program. I'm in the program right now, actually. Cybersecurity program where he wants to empower cybersecurity professionals, right? Young cybersecurity professionals, pouring into them tech and life skills. So he's actually telling us about 5 things, the 5 F's: faith, family, fitness, fun, and faith, family, fitness, fun, finance, right? So compartmentalizing your life. What are some areas of which you're pouring into these 3, but these 2 are being neglected. It has to be balanced out, right? And just him also being a believer, like it just showed me like, yo, you could be at that type of status but not let all of it compromise you. So just like I said, man, seeing positive influences encourages me. And then these people are telling me I have a bright future. So they just reassuring me. Once again, like I said, it just boils down to people saying, I believe in you. So like I have people telling me that they believe in me, even in times where I don't feel it. Like, and I'm just like, yo, bro, like, this is someone that's actually in a position I want to be in one day. Or like can help me, push me towards that. And they saying like, yo, they see an amazing future for me. Even if, I'm not gonna say if I was blind. My enemy was blind. Bro, I gotta agree with what I see. And you gotta know the difference between obviously when people are gassing you, but these people ain't gassing me. It's just like, they truly believe that for me. So yeah, man, that's kind of how I move with it now. That's a spark behind me, bro. Like, I truly want better for my community. I want better for my community from, in a sense, like careers, how we uphold ourselves on a daily basis. And it's like when you actually care about that much, you can't look at this stuff the same. And I know because I actually deal with kids now, right? From like the tutoring, I even tutor the kids now, basketball coach, right? So I see them, I see how they react. There's one of the kids from the foundation. Every time he sees me, Coach E, how you doing? Bro, joy to my heart, bro. Made my heart warm up today. Like, he remembers me because he had a good experience with me, right? He's always gonna remember that. So when we understand the type of impact we have and we are a positive influence to people, that amazing teacher you remember from middle school or high school, it sticks with you, So I'm just thankful, man, that I'm able to do that at such a young age. Like, and I haven't arrived yet. I haven't been like super, super established, but I'm able to do that for people, and it's truly a blessing, man. I ain't gonna lie.
Man, that's beautiful. That's such a beautiful thing. To inspire the others, and we just need more of that. We need more of the positivity. We need more of the love, and I mean, the world's already filled with enough negativity as it is, and I'm trying to find the light in that regard. It's definitely been difficult. It's definitely a struggle within the rest of the world, but it's good to know that you're doing it for better, and you're inspiring other people to chase their dreams and do what they want to do. I want to know, what is a current belief that you're trying to unlearn?
It's a very good question. Current belief I'm trying to unlearn. That I have to figure it out all by myself. What I mean by that is, like, remember how I told you, like, there's times where I feel like I can't really address certain problems to people on the outside. So when I think about it like that, I'm just like, you know what? We just got to figure it out by myself. But sometimes even when I get so locked in that aspect, I leave God out of the equation. God is supposed to be the center of my life, right? And I have to make sure that the Lord is in my heart and everything I do is centered around him, meaning like he's involved in every aspect of my life. And that happened actually this year, funny enough. A funny situation happened. I could even bring it up real quick. So this year I was like, yo, I don't really feel like God is leading, giving me the right direction of where to go, such and such. And, all of a sudden it was on my heart. It was like, read Hebrews. That same book I sent you, right? Book of Hebrews, right? Like, I tried to read it, I fell asleep.
Yeah, I'm not. I read it, and I was confused.
I'm not a reader. I'm a reader, but I'm not like a, you know what I'm saying, sit down. I got to play some in the background, like lo-fi, and that's really what helps me like read smoothly. So I fell asleep, and I was reading another book, right? First Samuel. I was talking about King David and his story, Saul, all that good stuff. All of a sudden, as I'm about to open up First Samuel, I felt in my heart, it said, no, go to Hebrews and read Hebrews now, right? So immediately I was like, you know what, let me be obedient. I went to Hebrews. And I was around the time where I really wasn't feeling like God was really near me. So I read Hebrews. I end up seeing a good amount of verses. I remember, but I forgot they're in Hebrews, right? So I felt like, I don't really feel God. Hebrews 4:16 says, come before the throne of grace boldly, right? Which means come to God boldly, seeking him. And I was like, right then and there, I was like, oh my goodness, I haven't been doing that. right? So it's just like little things like that, man, that's just been like turning points for me, right? And just reminding me like God is there, and like me having to unlearn this whole like I gotta get it by myself, I gotta hustle, I gotta get it out the mud. All of that stuff, bro. Let me tell you, bro, getting out the mud, bro, is necessary to put in the work. You don't have to get everything in the mud, bro. Like help is necessary, right? Like there's destiny helpers out there. Like for example, like the peoples like the Mr. Roses, the Steves, all the people from Junior Blacks and Wall Street, like people that want to help you, put you on, you gonna dub it because you want to get it out the mud. You want to do it all by yourself. You want to be self-made. Keep seeing what that's gonna get you, bro. You know? So I had to get out of that mindset a little bit. And I think I still see traces of it. For the most part, I accept help. But even so, like even with my tournament, for example, last 2 years, bro, 90% of that planning I was involved in. You know? Because I was like, I needed to be a certain way. Because there's emotional ties to it. It's for my brothers, so you know, like it's emotional tie. But even my guy Tyler from the circle, he said like, bro, you have to get help. And I'm not talking about like, you have to get people to help you in the tournament. You can't do this by yourself. Stress will wear out on your body, and they can see it. Every tournament, people will be like, oh, I was at the tournament. I was like, I didn't even see you because I'm running around like this. It was so bad last year. I didn't see how full the crowd was. We packed out one side of the gym. I didn't even remember that because I was running around so much. When I saw the video, I was like, wait, the crowd looked like this? You know what I'm saying? So that's something I'm trying to unlearn, is like having to do certain things all by myself and being more open to taking help in certain areas of my life. Yeah.
On the basketball topic, I think since we did a part 2 and we've become a lot closer, I think I need to be involved in this next game. In your brother's honor. So definitely would love to participate. And I don't know if it's like I know that it's very important to you, but I don't know how competitive the game actually is. If it's like something that's
I know I take that game serious. I ain't gonna lie. I take that game serious. Last year it was the home team, my team versus the Circle Bible study community I'm part of, and yeah, no, it was pretty competitive. I won't lie to you, it's pretty competitive. I won, so I even just hit up the chat the other day and asked everyone, is like, yo, let me know if you're coming back this year so I can know, because obviously other people asked me to play and such. So I was like, yo, if there's any open spots, cool, I could do it like that. So, but I want to obviously make sure it's fair to people that won with me last year. It's like, yo, so most of my team might come back, but there's still 3 more teams, you know? So my guys from the Circle might need somebody. I ain't gonna lie to you, because y'all lost last year. I just had to throw that in there. I needed that sound, but
definitely got to go back and get some shots up if I want to play. In the awareness of, not the awareness, but in the last episode, we talked about the grief of your brother, and we talked about grief in general. A year and a half later, what does grief mean to you? And how has it changed?
So grief, as I was introduced to it from an early age, from my cousin Amife, that was when I was about 14, right? And then my brother was when I was 20, turning 21, right? Grief now, the beauty, right, is like, and that's the beauty. I talk about my faith so much and like my belief, because that's the center of my life now, right? But it's just so beautiful because it's like, one of the beliefs we have is like, if we believe in the Lord Jesus, like we are saved, right? So it's like our spot is guaranteed. And like when I came to the realization, it's like, yo, bro, my brother's good, right? So it's like, I miss him, I do, but like it's much easier in my heart now knowing he's okay, right? Like that really hits home for me, and it makes it much easier now, because I was always so wondering, just thinking like, this and this and this, but bro, he's good. Like I'm selfish to want him to come back here compared to what I've we've seen heaven to be described. You know what I mean? And it's not the easiest thing, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, because like I said, with not having too many, like, growing up with the most positive influences in the sense of like males, more times than not, I see people that I don't want to be like, right? And normally that's how it is coming from where I come from. Like with Flappers, like, bro, we more times see more people that we don't want to be like, right? So we like, I'm gonna try to do everything to not be like those people, right? So a lot of my life was like that and seeing that. So like, there's times where it's like even my graduation or throwing the tournaments, I'll throw an amazing tournament, but I'll say like, wait, the reason for this is because he's gone, right? But I've been able to come to more peace with it. Now, I truly believe, like I said, this year, his birthday, the anniversary of his death passed, his birthday passed, and I was much more at peace with it, right? Like I said, I believe it's good because I've allowed myself to feel, you know, I haven't ran from it. I haven't tried to drink my way out of it. I haven't tried to smoke my way out of it. And again, this isn't me trying to condemn people for doing that, right? I'm just trying to say is like when you face it head on as it is, sober, that's when the real work and the real progress really comes in. And yeah, man, it's like I'm the youngest, so I'm the only male now in my family. So dealing with 3 women at times can be a little bit overwhelming, but obviously I still love him, you know. But yeah, man, just like understanding that nothing happens for no reason, you know. And I've seen the amount of growth I've made ever since that situation, right? And like I'm big of being more and more selfless. So like I understand that through the situations I've been through, I've become the person I needed to be, right? And who the Lord needed me to be. So now, had I not gone through certain situations and such, I wouldn't be able to be such an effective helper to other people. I wouldn't want to help all of these people to these regards. And I even said it the other day to people, even on a call with the guys from Blacks on Wall Street, I said like, yo, like a lot of people sometimes see my story and hear my story and say like, yo, like you finished school, all that cool. It's like I always tell people like, bro, I still live with it. Like my brother's still gone, right? So like I still gotta wake up sometimes and like wish he was there, but he's not there, right? But yeah, man, just like now I've become more at peace with it, right? Because I understand that, again, bro, if it's not for Bible verses, if I be real, I feel like I would have lost it, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. I believe it was Romans 8:28. It says, verbatim, because I forgot the verse, but it's basically saying things work out for the better good for those who love God and who he has called according to his purpose, right? So all of this stuff I've gone through, bro, there's a bigger plan at the end for me with all of this stuff. So me dealing with my brother's situation, like I said, I'm trying to be healthy with it, address my problems from the past, even try to remember some of the things I didn't like that he did, I might have held against, right? And just forgive. You know, people forget about that sometimes. Like even though they're not here no more, there could be some things you still have a grudge against with them. But yeah, man, just like community too, you know. One of his best friends, Emmanuel, being like an older brother to me since I was like 12. Always appreciate him, bro. So, you know, obviously that was my brother's best friend. So, you know, we stay super, super close. And other friends like Ant, Lau, there's just so many people, man. That's why I said like, and that's once again just tying back and just so many points of your impact in life, right? And who you help. Because there's people that help me now because of the impact my brother had. My brother been gone 6 years. He only lived to be 27, right? I'm turning 27 this year. There's still people to this day that help me, my family, emotionally, you know what I'm saying? Just like being there, helping us, you know, like with grieving and just such and such, or just like, oh, yo, like, you know, how you guys doing? That's such a long lasting impact, you know? So that's how it's been for me, really, over this last like year and a half now. I've been in a much better space. I've been able to accept it more. But I know it's something that's always going to be with me. You know, obviously, you know, as long as I live. But, you know, again, man, that's just the anomaly but beauty of life sometimes. You got to take the good with also the bad that comes with it.
Mm-hmm. Knowing that you're turning 27 this year, does that do you feel a certain emotional connection to it? That he died at 27, you're turning 27.
Yeah, I do, actually. That's actually very funny you asked that, because I really do. He was gonna be 27 that year, right? He was gonna turn 27. And it kind of dawned on me one day. I was like, bro, like, the same year, the same age, like, I'm gonna outlive him, right? God willing. And sometimes I just be like, dang, bro, like, and I feel like it wasn't really gonna hit home with me until like I actually turned 27.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely was looking like, dang, like, I'm gonna be the same age that he had passed that, right? So I definitely, obviously, have been trying to be intentional in my life regardless. But I feel like that year especially would be a lot more intentional. I feel like the emotion would come with it. I haven't gotten there yet. A quote my dad always be saying is, when we get to the bridge, we'll know how to cross it. So, like, when I actually really debunked that, I was like, yo, there's certain things, it's like, I don't got to press on it right now. Let me worry about it when it's time to worry about it. But, yeah, there has been an emotional time. I definitely can't say that.
E, it's been a pleasure, man. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Before I give the closing statements, I've been drinking on this. It's like something I want to do. I got this drink because one of my favorite podcasters, he created this drink. I'm not sponsored, but Chris and James, this drink is incredible. Whatever you guys are doing at New Tonic, I drank this. You literally watched me drink it. It's an incredible product. Maybe one day we could sit down and talk collaboration, because I really believe in this product. I've been having some of it now. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of plug you guys, and even though you guys got millions of followers, you're probably not going to see this. I just still wanted to give the shout out anyways.
Hey, man, you never know.
I know how social media is, man.
Yeah,
Somebody
you
can
never
see
know.
the clip. So
yeah, man, just you never know.
Chris, James, you guys are doing some great things. But back to you, E. I want to thank you for coming on. I want to thank you for just providing the space of vulnerability, of giving me the opportunity to hear you and see you and listen to you. And this has been a refreshing conversation for me, and I hope it has been for you as well.
Yeah, likewise, man. I appreciate it a lot. I won't lie. Like I said, it's so beautiful when you're able to actually speak and get some stuff off your mind, and like, even just like being around people that make it comfortable for you to speak. Like I said, like, it's a rarity for a lot of people. So when you get that, it's amazing. And I'm just happy, like I said too, like, when I speak, sometimes when I could actually resonate with other people could benefit from it, bro. It's amazing, bro. I always give all the grace to the Lord. So just, yeah, man, thank you again, man. I appreciate it. I was doing something right, so I came back twice.
To anybody tuning in, if you got this far, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for showing support. This is the 1% podcast. E, thank you again.